All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Dave here talking about real music in real time for few real people just like you and just like me. All right, before I get going, this is Book of Numbers. This is their album Magic. If you like Ozzy, Dio, Rainbow, Deep Purple, very heavy duty. Look at those three guys, right? Could be Ozzy reincarnated here, although Ozzy is still alive, which, again, I guess just a duplicate of Ozzy. Thank goodness Ozzy is still alive, right? And he might even go out on tour. Anyway, Book of Numbers, really cool, a little heavy, um, but it's old school heavy, which I really appreciate. Book of Numbers and their album Magic. You know what would be magic, folks? Steve Perry back in Journey out on the West Coast right now. I think Steve Perry is missing the opportunity of a lifetime. Now, Steve would say, dude, this isn't the opportunity of a lifetime. I already did that stuff. I'm done with it. All right, but here we are. Hear me out, Steve. 50th anniversary. The band has said over and over again, the door is open. If you want to show up at a gig, you don't even have to sing. Get up on stage, do a little speech, talk about 50 years of Journey, throw it back to these guys and let them play the concert. If you want to sing, look, here's what's interesting, right? So Dolly Parton says to Steve Perry, hey, I'm making a rock album. I want you to be a part of it. I'm going to do a version of Open Arms, and I want you to be on it. Perry says, okay. They've recorded a version of Open Arms with Dolly Parton and Steve Perry. Neal Schon, who's been begging Perry to go out and have a coffee at some point, has said probably over the last 5 or 6 years, hey, man, the door's always open. You're welcome to come back. Arnel Pineda even said, I'll step aside. And look, Steve Perry, probably not equipped to do an entire Journey 20-song set, right? Probably one song, just bring him out there. He could hang out and just sing with Arnel. The place would go crazy. It would be history. And no, people wouldn't be talking about a Journey reunion with Steve Perry. I know Steve has said in a number of interviews that if he were to do something with the band, then people would say, okay, then we expect a reunion to happen any day now. I think people understand that Steve Perry isn't coming back to be in Journey full time. That would be, I think, just going too far. I think most people understand. A cameo, though, would be amazing. And here's another line of thinking here. So Steve Perry, other than Neal Schon, Steve Perry is the most important person in the history of Journey. Some would argue even more important than Neal Schon, which I'm not prepared to say that. Although you can make the argument that Journey was just this jam band and doing that, FM radio, late night rock and jazz fusion stuff, or whatever you want to describe it as. I don't know if it's more blues or more jazz, but it's certainly not mainstream rock, although it's pretty accessible. If you go back and listen to those first 3 Journey albums, you can get one album, I think it's still out there on vinyl, called In the Beginning, which is kind of like a crash course in all of that Journey music. And I remember buying that album and saying, yeah, this is good stuff. It's very different. But, Steve Perry comes along and they become a juggernaut almost overnight. Radio airplay, album sales, and yes, they have the most downloaded song in the history of downloads in Don't Stop Believin'. Obviously, it's become a cultural thing now. But I'm thinking, look, Steve Perry, you deserve some credit. You deserve some recognition. So go out there and take a bow. Take some of that credit. Take a victory lap. You're the guy who really just kicked this band into high gear. And the band is out in California right now. And Steve Perry lives out in California. I mean, this could all be just very secretive, like Steve Perry makes an appearance and the place goes crazy. He doesn't have to sing. I would let him give a speech for as long as he wants to talk. I think people would be standing and listening and applauding, and it would just be a great moment for this band. Also, in the midst of all the weird stuff going on with Journey, and as a little side note, Neal Schon has posted the video on Twitter. So go to Neal's account. You don't have to worry about me anymore. I've been directing people. But you can now see this on Neal Schon's account. He just tweeted it, and you can click the link and watch the video and see why we're kind of freaking out a little bit. And people say, okay, you're paranoid, he's paranoid. Notice how the industry doesn't touch this. The music industry, nobody touches this because this is a live wire. This is something a little bit different. Now, it's not like they haven't been critical of the person featured in the video on occasion. They do a little cut and paste journalism, but this is something far more dark and serious, like I said in the video. Again, my argument is, look, Steve Perry willing to work with Dolly Parton, open arms. How about Steve Perry working with Neal Schon and Journey for a live version of Open Arms? Have Arnel there, have Dean there, have everybody there helping Steve along. So he basically just has to go out there and do his old San Francisco Giants routine where, you know, it doesn't matter what he sounds like. People would be just going crazy. So I do think for Steve Perry, from a business standpoint, I think this is a missed opportunity. You want to kick the Journey revenue stream into high gear? Show up for a gig. Everybody wins. The band wins. The lawyers win. The accountants win. The merch guys win. Everybody gets a cut, Steve. And of course, your income continues to flow in nicely for not doing anything. And I'm not throwing shade at Steve here. I just think that he made a really good deal, but it's time to take some credit for what he did. You know, people who are now going to see Journey, they might not know about Steve Perry. There are people who are seeing Journey these days and seeing Arnel who probably think, look, Arnel's been there longer than anyone else now. So people only know the Arnel era of Journey, and they should get to see the guy who basically turned this band into a money-making machine and also helped write some of the great songs in rock history. So that's the way I see it with Steve Perry missing this opportunity. Again, he's going to stoke all of that. Well, maybe there'll be a reunion. No, I don't think anyone's going to really take that seriously, that there'll be a Journey reunion with Steve Perry at this point. There are enough points of drama in this band right now to add another layer of that. I don't think people are ready for it. I don't think people are going to speculate about it. But, you know, in today's social media landscape, they probably will anyway. But Steve can just go back home and enjoy his life. This is a one-time thing, Steve. It's the 50th anniversary. So that's what makes things appropriate here for a possible reunion, which again, for the 50th, that time is running out. The band is out in California. So I'm just planting the seed. All right, planting the seed. All the Steve Perry groups out there, you guys should be thinking to yourself, yeah, if Steve is going to do this, you know, this would be the time to do it. All right, here's Book of Numbers again. This is like Dio and Black Sabbath, and it's old school production. It's loud, and it's got some great guitar playing all over it. And if you notice this band too, I mean, look at those guys. I mean, it's like the Blizzard of Oz team, right? Just really fantastic, very derivative of that sound, but, you know, I don't care. I want to hear this stuff come back. It's not necessarily in my wheelhouse musically speaking, but I respect it. And if you're a hard rock fan, a fan of Dio or Ozzy, check out Book of Numbers. All right, and Steve Perry, check out Journey. They're in your neck of the woods, brother. Go check them out. Go make an appearance. Just a cameo would blow up the internet. It would be fantastic.